Hello everyone, and you're watching Bitcoin Bubble News channel. Today we are going to talk about the pre-bull phase, which usually happens in a year before harvesting but will change into a half year in 2024 to start a 2-year bull market phase. The 4-year cycle will be used to help us talk about that. This is the only cheat sheet you should remember during this decline in the Bitcoin market. We're going to talk about that in a lot more depth. If you want to see more movies like this, you can subscribe to the channel. So let's get right to it. So we talked about this pre-bull phase in 2023 a year ago. This is when we usually see a lot of consolidation, and it has been like this every year before harvest. There was a lot of stabilization in the bear markets of 2012 and 2015, as well as accumulation at the bottom of those markets. In 2019, we saw the pre-harvest first go up and then go down in a pattern that was mostly macro buildup. So if you look at 2015, this was buildup that went sideways near the lows of the bear market. It started with sideways buildup and then broke out into the first uptrend. It then corrected in an attempt to go back to the same lows from the 2019 bear market bottom and the 2018 bear market bottom. So these lows were pretty much hit again in 2020, which is the halving year. However, consolidation tends to happen more in a sideways, non-volatile way before halving years, more in a macro accumulation way, where swings are longer and wider, but also in a sideways way that is a bit more managed. So 2023 will be a lot like 2015. When the accumulation really hit its peak in 2023, after coming back from the bottom of the weak market in 2022, it was in 2015. But this 2023 phase always comes before the first pre-bull phase, during which prices tend to go up and down a lot. In the big picture, though prices are still moving sideways, 2020 as well, we saw a lot of sideways price action besides the COVID crash. But it's this kind of sideways price action that makes the parabolic recovery possible for the next second bull phase, which is 2021, 2025, 2017, and 2017. 2016 has also shown us a lot of boring sideways price movement, 2020, 2012 too, but as you can see in all of these half years, things start to get better near the end of the year. We are currently seeing a pullback in the year 2024, but by the end of the year we should see the start of that parabolic phase that will lead to the final and second bull phase, where we see new all-time highs and even past 2017 as an example of that great upside in 2030. During this Bitcoin crash, we can't forget these really important golden charts. The 4-year cycle is shown by stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is very important to understand. In this bear phase, those are the years before harvest, and in this phase, the pre-bull phase, those are the years before harvest. You can see that these lines show candle number 3, and this is the first bull phase of the half year, which shows candle number 4. This candle tends to break through 3 years of resistance and hopefully turn it into new support. And that retest can happen early in the candle 1 year, which is the second bull phase over here. It's basically like we're waiting for candle number 1, but candle number 4 is already happening and having some good things happen. As long as it closes above the 4-year cycle resistance, this 3-year resistance in the 4-year cycle, the 4-year cycle is made up of these 4 yearly candles. The 3-year resistance is currently 46K, and candle 4 this year in 2024 needs to close above this level to essentially kickstart what was basically more upside going into candle 1. And we can see that candle number 4 sets up candle number 1. Over time, the benefits do decrease, but the most important thing to remember is that we're still in the halving year, which is shown in this part of the guide sheet. In 2025, there will be the first bull market, the first part of the bear market, and then the second part of the bear market. It's important to keep this in mind as you look at this cheat sheet, because if we focus on each of these halvings, which are shown here as vertical blue lines, we can see that the bear market for Bitcoin peaked 547 days before the 2016 halving, and that the bull market peaked 518 days after the halving. In other words, it took about the same amount of time in the pre-halving period when the bear market peaked and the post-halving period when the bull market topped. It takes about the same amount of time. When it comes to bear market bottoms and bull market peaks, the halving acts like a mirror. There are about the same number of days before and after the halving. There were 547 days between the halving and the bottom of the bear market in 2016. There were 518 days between the halving and the top of the bull market in 2016. And it's a very similar story for 2020. The bear market bottomed 517 days before 2020, and the bull market topped 549 days later. You can see that we could do this all day. It's pretty much the same amount of time between the pre and post halving stages of each cycle. We usually see the bottom of a bear market 500 days before the half. A bull market peak usually happens about 500 days after the halving. This happened before the 2016 halving, after the 26th halving, before the 26th halving, before the 2020 halving, and after the 2020 halving. Also, the bear market hit its lowest point 517 days before the 2024 split. Following the patterns we've seen in the past, 548 days after the 2024 split is when we should see a bull market peak. This would mean that the bull market would reach its peak in October 2025. That means we have just over a year to enjoy this bull market before we finally see a peak in Bitcoin's price action. It's only the beginning of September though. To give you an idea of where we are in the cycle, please look at where now in 2020. Right here is where we are, almost in the cycle, and it's the same here. This is about where we would be if we did that in 2016. At this point in the cycle, we were also going up after harvest in 2016 and again after harvest in 2020. You could say that we are still officially consolidating right now, but this is the time that we should be focusing on because we are trying to move into this parabolic upside phase of the market cycle. And that is still something that Bitcoin has to go through. Still, it's important to keep in mind that Bitcoin halving can be used as a mirror image to help us figure out where the top of this cycle might be. This is something that has happened over and over again, and we can't just forget about it. If you forget this chart, don't forget this one, which shows the different stages of the market cycle over the years: bear, pre-ball, first ball, and second ball. Right now, we're in the first ball phase of the bull market, getting ready for the second bull. In this bull market that will last until 25, we just need to weather the storm we're in. To give you an idea of where we are in the market cycle in 2020, prices were still moving sideways at the end of the year. Up until the end of the year 2016, things were still going in the same direction. It was more than anyone expected for prices to drop at the end of 2012, but the parabolic rally leading up to the end of the year was really exponential. On the other hand, 2013 has been a year of stabilization. So if you see a rise coming up towards the end of the year, we have to mean that prices will go back down and then stay put after that rally. That's why it's better for the market to stay flat with little price change and a lot of boredom until the end of the bottom, until the end of the year. That will get us ready for the parabolic part of the market cycle. In fact, I'd rather keep things stable here until the end of the year before taking off into 2025 and having a great year in 2025. It's really important to keep our focus on where we are. It's important to keep an eye on where we're going, and according to history, this bull market has more than a year left. I choose to believe what history says because when it comes to Bitcoin, historical patterns tend to repeat themselves across all market cycles. As long as this pattern repeats itself, we'll be fine with Bitcoin's price action and the bull market peak that's still coming in